Coming up on Green Bay Nation, the Packers spoil the Lions Thanksgiving and dominate in Detroit. But next up, the reigning Super Bowl champs come to town. All that and more next on Green Bay Nation. Hello, welcome to Green Bay Nation. I'm Lauren Helmbrecht, and joining me to chat everything Packers, he's a Packers beat writer for the Green Bay Press-Gazette, Ryan Wood, and he's a radio host for 107.5 and 1400 The Fan, Marcus Aversall. We are just a couple days away from December, which means it's after Thanksgiving, it's almost December, Christmas. I don't know how you do it in your house.
I agree. People get really upset when you play Christmas music too early or you're watching Christmas movies. I don't think there's such a thing. Like, let people celebrate the holidays.
Hard disagree. I'm a Scrooge on this one, but
Ryan's a Scrooge?
I know.
Marcus, I know you're shocked.
Very often. I feel very strongly that Christmas season starts Black Friday. One holiday at a time, Thanksgiving first, because I like turkey, okay? I like turkey legs. I want to enjoy that. And then move on to the Christmas cheer.
Well, speaking about turkey legs, the Packers didn't get to eat any, but they earned them after that game against the Lions. Crazy matchup. I mean, Green Bay came into the game having lost the first game against the Lions, and then they forced 3 turnovers, absolutely dominated, winning 29-22. How did Green Bay shock the football world and win this game?
That is a great question, one that I'm still kind of searching for the answer to. Like, it's unbelievable that they won that game. I'll speak for myself. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong, and I was dead wrong. I gave the Packers no chance of winning that game. Their injury report looked like a CVS receipt. The Lions had one guy out. The Packers were extremely shorthanded. And yet it was a combination of really everything you just said. I mean, the defense forced 3 turnovers with a bunch of backups stepping up. Rashawn Gary made a bunch of plays, a few sacks. I'm sure we'll talk more about him. Jordan Love had the best game of his career. I'm sure we'll talk about him. So it was a lot of stuff that had to go right, and it all went the Packers' way, starting with the opening kickoff, Ryan, taking the ball and going down the field and scoring.
What a novel thought, huh? And it worked. That's why it was novel. The Packers are not who we thought they were, and now I have no idea who they are. I walked to the locker room after the game in Detroit wondering, like, who are these guys? Where did that come from? Because it was unlike anything we've seen to that point. And I get that the barometer was trending in the right direction, but nobody had that coming. So now, who are they going forward? Well, they're in the midst of the NFC playoff hunt because 7 teams in the NFC make the playoffs, and the NFC is not good. So that's good for the Packers. But they have to keep playing like that. That's the question. They got the Chiefs now coming, and it's a really soft schedule. How are they going to deal at some point this season with pressure? If they're going to be in the thick of things, how do you – they've been the scrappy underdog to this point. So it opens the door to a whole lot more possibilities. I have no idea who they are, Lauren.
I can't answer that. I was also at the game. I don't know. I was surprised just as much as you were. I mean, the team played – they said we need to start fast. They said we need to score early, and then they actually did it. Which is very exciting for the team because they knew what was going wrong. One guy who played really well, obviously, Jordan Love. 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he connected with 7 different pass catchers in this game. I think that connection is what's really the next level for Love. Which wide receiver impressed you most in this game?
Well, I'll let Ryan talk a little more about Christian Watson, but starting the game the way they did on the first play, 53 yards to Watson, that was basically, if you could script how to start a game, seeing how this season has gone for him, that's how you script it. But I want to just single out Malik Heath, the undrafted rookie. I mean, over the past month or so, we started to sing the praises of guys like Jaden Reed, the 2nd-round pick, Dontavian Wicks, what he's done as a 5th-round pick. Well, Wicks was out in Detroit, so then comes Malik Heath reminding everybody, I'm still here. He was the guy that everybody was talking about in training camp that surprised, and he's kind of faded away throughout the season, but got an opportunity. 4 catches, 46 yards. That was a heck of a performance by Malik Heath, too.
It's a good thing we have multiple young receivers all making progress at the same time. Let's throw Tucker Kraft in there because he's had a couple really good weeks, kind of out of the blue. But this was a reminder that this Packers offense is at its best when Christian Watson is at his best. And for this Packers offense to be the best it can be, it needs Christian Watson to be at his best. I thought what was most impressive about Christian Watson, you see the 5 catches there, 4 of them were contested. That opening 53-yard catch, it was underthrown by Jordan Love because it was 50 yards down the field. Christian Watson went up and got it. The very next play, he catches a slant on the right, and he gets clotheslined. He goes up and gets a 3rd and 9 and gets the first down, gets both feet in bounds, and the touchdown at the end of the game that sealed it, 16 yards He goes up and gets that one. How many times this season have we said Christian Watson needs to go up and get those contested catches? He did. He didn't just rely on speed. He used his frame. If he does that going forward, this Packers offense will be at its best.
It's almost like when the good players are playing well and being utilized in the offense, the Packers play well. Cue back to a couple games when Aaron Jones was getting all the touches before he got injured. Now Christian Watson. What a concept, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's switch to the other end of the ball, where people who get paid are now playing like the multi-millionaires that we all know they can be. Rashawn Gary specifically, just an absolute menace in Detroit. But he wasn't the only defender that I was really impressed with. Jonathan Owens scores his first touchdown in his career. So who is your defensive MVP? There's two options there. You could pick another player. Who's your defensive MVP?
I'll pick the actual defensive MVP. It's Rashawn Gary. I mean, he single-handedly dominated that game. I know he finished with 3 sacks, but I want to double-check and rewatch the game because it felt like he had about 6. He was living in the Lions' backfield. Felt like he had about 20 pressures in that game. He just made, I mean, Jared Goff has played really well since he's been in Detroit, but he's still limited. You know, he's not a mobile quarterback, and if you can provide a pass rush, you make Goff look pretty bad, and he turned it over 3 times. Rashawn Gary was the biggest reason why.
And what a fitting scenario for Rashawn Gary going back to Ford Field where he tore his ACL and had a really good season come to a halt abruptly midway through last year, to go back and to make Ford Field his own and to tear up the turf that tore up his knee. So it was very ideal for him. But this, when you have youth on the secondary like the Packers have had, how do you counteract that? You get after the quarterback. That's what Rashawn Gary did.
And I'll give a shout out to Jonathan for his touchdown. That was very exciting. Congratulations to you. You can be my MVD. Did you see that? Most valuable defender.
Defender.
Yeah, I write all of those, so just acknowledge.
Good job saying defender and not defense, because that would be weird.
I got it. All right, when we come back on Green Bay Nation, the Packers are in their winning era, but are about to face off against the anti-hero Kansas City Chiefs. It's enough Taylor Swift for me, but the reigning Super Bowl champs are coming to town for Sunday Night Football. Can Green Bay earn a 3rd straight W against Kansas City? That's next on Green Bay Nation. Welcome back to Green Bay Nation. Lauren Helbrecht alongside Ryan Wood and Marcus Eversole. 2nd straight primetime game for the Packers, this time hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. And in just 7 seasons, Patrick Mahomes has made a mark almost everywhere in almost all record books, MVPs, Super Bowl champs, everything. Meanwhile, Jordan Love, only his first year as a starter, and he's starting to do some exciting things. Obviously not at a Mahomes level yet, but how do you compare these two quarterbacks in this game, Ryan?
Well, you don't. Patrick Mahomes is really good. I mean, there's not anything else to say about Patrick Mahomes. He's greatness personified in whatever arm angle he's throwing the football with. The thing with Jordan Love, and what's going to be unavoidable this week, is it goes back to the beginning, his debut, his roots, right? 2 years ago, on a chaotic week, Aaron Rodgers tested positive for COVID-19, and Jordan Love gets his first NFL start and looks like this. He's got the deer in the headlights look. Steve Spagnuolo, defense coordinator for the Chiefs, all the zero blitzes. How does he look now? And this is a Chiefs defense that's playing really well. The Patrick Mahomes isn't firing on all cylinders. He's still Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be fine, but he's not putting up 30 points every single week. This Packers offense and Jordan Love against this Chiefs defense has been carrying a lot of weight for the Chiefs to their 8-3 record. That's going to be the matchup, and it's going to be a fascinating matchup to watch because who doesn't like a good origin story?
And one thing these teams have in common, both lost to the Broncos, surprisingly.
Very surprisingly.
Yeah, so obviously there is potential to beat that Chiefs team. They're 8-3. So the Packers can do what the Broncos were able to do. Be an interesting game. Talking about that, Marcus. So coming into this game, a couple weeks ago, Packers were on that losing streak. The season kind of seemed like a wash. It's all about building. But now, 2-game win streak. The playoffs are not out of the question. And a win against the Chiefs would really bolster this team. Do you think that they could do it?
They can. If they play like they did against the Lions, they can beat anybody. They played great on the road in a tough environment against a good football team. If the Packers can bottle that up and play that well, they can beat this Chiefs team. I'm not sure I would pick them to beat this Chiefs team, but these Chiefs are also not the invincible Kansas City Chiefs that a lot of people are accustomed to, at least offensively. Their receivers leading the league in drops. It's like every time you watch a game, you're seeing Kadarius Toney drop passes or former Packer Marquez Valdez-Scantling. The Chiefs just came off a big second half against the Raiders, but prior to that, they had been shut out in 3 straight games in the second half. They've scored the second fewest points in the second half of anybody in football this season. So the Chiefs are good. They're 8-3, but they're good because of their defense. The offense has been stuck in mud a little bit. Now, again, it would surprise precisely nobody if all of a sudden the Chiefs came into Lambeau and Patrick Mahomes flipped that switch and they got back to being what we know the Chiefs as. But when the schedule came out, I remember looking at it and saying, this season is full of unknowns for the Packers. They could win or lose any game on the schedule, except the Chiefs game on Sunday Night Football in December. They'll lose that game. And now, the way the Packers are playing, I've never been less confident in that, meaning I give the Packers at least a fighting chance now.
And there is something to be said about playing in Lambeau in December. Like we know, Matt LaFleur is 15-0 in December.
Impressive.
That's a
hard
great
to
stat.
be better.
And last season, the reason the Packers even had a sniff at making the playoffs is because they were undefeated in December. So maybe that's a factor in this game. It's hard to know. It's still the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'm just stunned that the Chiefs' second halves have been basically essentially the same as the Packers' first halves early in the season. Like that stat you said when Patrick Mahomes getting shut out consecutive second halves in a row, that's not normal.
The stats between the Packers in the first half and the Chiefs in the second half, both ways are almost the exact inverse. It's a fascinating matchup in so many ways.
Again, it's almost like scoring the ball and finding the back of the end zone helps you win games, and doing it early and often. If the Chiefs can win games that they're not scoring in the second half, they must have been scoring points in the first half. So
I think our strategy's sound here.
I think so too. Matt LaFleur, you can call me if you need me. All right. So in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, Packers couldn't really find a way to get anything going. Winning those close games, it just wasn't clicking. But as of late, they're playing really complimentary football. When we come back, we're heading to the locker room to see what's changed for the green and gold as they found a way to win. That's next on Green Bay Nation. For weeks here on Green Bay Nation, Ryan and Marcus have emphasized the importance of patience. This young Green Bay team, they need time to work together to figure out how to win. Now, patience is a virtue for a reason because a 4-game losing streak is hard to power through, but the Packers have found themselves on the other side of it. But how? It's time to get in the zone with Candace Air.
Over the first 9 games, the Packers were 3-6 with seemingly little or no chance of making the playoffs. The offense was stalling. Only 2 times they'd scored over 20 points. But throughout the last 2 games, they've scored over 20 in both contests, a pair of wins, and now the Packers are sniffing the playoffs. So something definitely changed. But what was it?
Honestly, we didn't change nothing up, really. Honestly, it's just, I just think guys are just getting better. You know, we got a lot of young guys. The effort has always been there as a team. We always play hard and all that kind of stuff. I just think that, as the weeks progress, we just getting better, as a team, being able to play complementary football.
Yeah, I just think, kind of like I said earlier, I just think we've been connecting, all 11 of us on the field, or all 11 that are out there are just connecting a little bit better and executing a little bit better.
I think as a whole, with all these younger guys, we kind of have this mindset going into the game, and it's just a feeling kind of pregame where everybody's loose, nobody's really on edge. Just that thought in your mind that we are going to win, and it's just going to be, how much and how long is it going to take to do that. And these last 2 games, the Lions and the Chargers, that's kind of the feeling that we have in the locker room, and sustaining that and, keep that going forward, that good energy, that good feeling is going to be really important for us.
Though many of these Packers players credit more games under this team's belt, do you really think that's the only culprit that's led the Packers to a successful last couple weeks?
All right, Q&A with Green Bay time. Is it just time?
It kind of is. I mean, really, we've been talking about the importance of growth throughout the season. And, if the Packers of September were the Packers in December, that would have been something to be concerned about. But clearly, we're at the end of November, but this team is a lot better. And I will say, Lauren, like you said, Ryan and I have been preaching the importance of patience. If my wife is watching right now, she's shaking her head like, that's rich. Marcus, patience. I'm not the most patient person on the planet.
She knows you better.
She does.
Okay. We'll get those secrets during the commercial break. But it goes back to what I was saying week 4, week 5, week 7, when the Packers were having these terrible losses, and they're growing pains. And we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know if the growth's coming. But what do you see first, the pain or the growth? You always see the pain first, and then the growth comes. I've got kids. Those nights when their foot's hurting, they crawl out of bed, they need a foot rub. They're growing them. You can't see them grow, but they're feeling the pain. You know the growth's coming. Same way with this team. They had the pain, and you've seen the growth resulting from that.
You both are parents, I can tell by what you just said here. All right, when we come back, it's time for Challenge or No Challenge presented by the Good Guys Heating and Cooling. And then after that, we are going to get green and bold. Those are all next here on Green Bay Nation. Welcome back to Green Bay Nation. Warren Helmbrecht here alongside Ryan Wood and Marcus Eversole. Time now for Challenge or No Challenge presented by the Good Guys Heating and Cooling. Week 13, we'll see how many flags fall. If you agree, nothing happens. Disagree, flags is 4, all right?
Yes.
Well, we know that all the flags are going to fall at the end because that's what we do.
Well, you do like to do that. All right, let's talk about Jordan Love. Great performance against the Lions. I think he builds upon that. Maybe not the same stats. Challenge or No Challenge, 2 thrown touchdowns by Love in this game.
No challenge. I think he'll throw 2. Not more than 2, but Love will throw 2 touchdowns in this game.
If you would have said 3, I would have challenged it, but I'm with Marcus. 2, that's manageable.
All right, maybe I'm playing it a little too safe. We'll see with this one. So, like Marcus said earlier in the show, the Chiefs lead the league in dropped passes, but Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce just have a special connection. Challenge or No Challenge, Kelce leads all receivers in yardage in this game.
Challenge. Only because that means I get the field. There's a lot of guys who will be catching passes. I think someone else will lead. He hasn't put up the best numbers either. Maybe Taylor Swift, if she's there, that'll help his numbers go up. We'll get to that, though. I'm going to say someone else has more receiving yards than Kelce.
There are a lot of other pass-catching options. There's only one Travis Kelce.
It's true.
I'm going to say no challenge.
So, you tried to steal my thunder.
Sorry.
Some would say that you're a bad...
He did that.
I'm trying to think.
Well, there's no bad blood here on the set,
thank
is
you.
there?
He did that. All right, yeah, we're talking
Might be
Taylor
now.
Swift. We have to talk Taylor Swift because it's the Chiefs. So she's not touring right now. She just finished in Brazil. Next concert's in February. Challenge or No Challenge, Taylor Swift is in Lambeau on Sunday.
No challenge. I think she'll be here, and I hope I see her so I can say, I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
I have none of that. I have put 5 seconds of prep into this since when I asked you if she's on tour, and you said no. So why not? Yeah. Sunday night game at Lambeau Field. Yeah, she'll be there.
There will be teardrops on my flags if she is not here.
What about your guitar?
And I will never,
don't have a
ever,
guitar.
ever come back. Ever.
All right, Marcus really knows what he's talking about. I think we all do when
It's
we're
a love
talking
story,
green
just
and
say
bold.
yes.
That's next on Green Bay Nation when we come back. All right, time now to get green and bold here on Green Bay Nation. Week 13, who do we have winning?
I don't think Sunday night will be a love story for the Packers. I'm going with the Chiefs.
Look, listen, I have no idea what this team's going to do the rest of the season. They could win against the Chiefs. They could lose to the Giants the next week, and I won't be shocked. I've got the Chiefs, but I don't know. I'm just lost in this world right now.
Hey, at least you admitted it. Look, we are 0-6 in the last 2 weeks because we all said the same thing and we were all wrong. So I'm just going to mix things up and I'm going to say that the Packers are going to win. So at least one of us is right.
There you go.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of Green Bay Nation. Thank you for tuning in.